Not only did they use hot coffee and espresso, they could have just done espresso and saved the hot coffee.
Is it espresso or espresso? Or
ES, not EX.
It is espresso?
Espresso.
Oh, I always thought it was espresso.
How do you spell espresso?
Express, bro.
Espresso? Like especially?
One of my favorite stores when I used to weigh $1.40.
Especially.
They sell some good two-piece suits for $90 back in the
Escalator. Traction is a really good book about getting a grip on your business. Talks about like vision, mission, kind of breaks down your business, into different parts and focuses a lot on data and like key performance indicators, aka goals, right? Not just managing emotions or fluff, but managing numbers, right? Which we've implemented into the firm of every month there's, 8 or so KPIs that we have to hit. So now you're just managing people, but you're managing black and white numbers, and your team either, they hit them or they don't hit them. It's not, oh, well, we did good, but we could be better. Every business should have key performance indicators, I believe, to stay organized and to continue to grow and hit goals, hit targets.
Absolutely. I think, you as a business owner need to see the vision and the growth and just numbers. I think it's very important to follow. And you can even go back years and years and pull previous data and be shocked at what's happening, whether it's great or it's bad. Or I think if you follow the numbers at the end of the day, it's awesome. Also, as a team member, for example, I spoke to somebody yesterday and they got a job as an attorney somewhere else. And they were applying and their offer was on the table. And one of the components of the offer were if the company does well, they can get a 20% bonus at the end of the year. And I asked her, I'm like, based on what?
Yeah, what is the definition of well?
Like where are there tiers of, if we collect this much revenue or if we resolve cases at this kind of component, like what does well mean? And I think that's the biggest bullshit ever when there is not a thing to track. And then it's based on the mood of the business owner or upper management towards the end of the year, to disperse or not disperse. You need to have a solid foundation. Like I don't come into work every day and tell my team, hey, if we knock out like this much, around this much, I think there are straight numbers to hit goals, whether it's, cases closing, things going out, anything.
Listen to this. What gets measured gets done. Complete mastery of your data component, right? Creating KPIs and data is achieved when you boil the organization's numbers down to the point where everyone has a single, meaningful, manageable number to guide them in their work. The number will enable leaders to create clarity and accountability throughout their team. With a completed scorecard or the KPIs tracking it, you can track high-level numbers down to a single person as the source. You're giving, work to an individual person, but you have to give them goals and trackable numbers so that you can manage them better and know where to adjust.
Well, also for themselves,
Sure.
And I think if you set this in your business, I think the first round might be more feedback after you come back after 90 days, see what's happening. But your team needs to trust you enough. You need to trust your leadership team enough to give the feedback. If you're a team member and you think, hey, this goal is way too easy or this goal is impossible, you're setting me up for failure, I think you need to have open dialogue to communicate so everyone can be on the same page. You don't want a team member to be scared to tell you the goal is not possible, and you as a business owner set a goal that's just impossible for nothing, just to see them fail. I think that's not fair. And I think there needs to be clear vision, but the goal has to also make sense.
And it's like, where do you start? We'll start with what you've done. So if I'm a restaurant, it's like, how many of this, pizza have I sold? How many of this dessert have I sold? Oh, we haven't sold any cannolis, but we're selling the crap out of this. So maybe you do a special there. Or that's like on the side of sales. Or if there's one specific person that's selling, more desserts, they're incentivized, right? And then you create other goals and competitions and incentives for people to do better. But where do you start is what you're doing now. What are your sales? What are your appointments scheduled? How much money are you making? How much money are you spending? And then you set your goals around that, right? Plus or minus. and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, whether, like you said, pizza owner, dental office, medical office, law firm,
Car sales.
look at your top 5 to 7 things people do,
Mm-hmm.
and just see how you can convert that into some kind of trackable number and system, and then increase, audit every 90 days and increase. Don't audit every year. I think that's too much time to go by. Audit every quarter. I think even if you want to start auditing every month, just in the beginning, for the first maybe 3-6 months, and then after 6 months, kick it off to every quarter. And I wouldn't push it deeper than a quarter at that point. Then it's going to get sloppy. I think habits, people can quickly come back to their old habits, even the strongest people, after 90 days. You have to check in. You have to go over things. You have to revamp and upgrade. But I think every 90 days is good. And if you think you're running a business and you don't have these things in order, and there are not goals and clear visions for the team to hit, I mean, you're running a shit show. And that's what it's going to be eventually. It could work for a year or two, but you know what? Kmart thought the same thing, and everyone thought the same thing. Then Amazon comes in and destroys people. You're good now until somebody knocks on your door, becomes your neighbor, that will take over. So if you're not set up for success, and you're not in line, I think you might think you made it for 5 years. Well, listen, the 6th year, someone's going to come in and maybe try to disrupt the industry or do something different, and you're done.
And you're not trying to just track like sales, like, oh, we're going to try to hit this number in sales per month. It's more of like the behaviors or the things that go into like getting that sale. So for like car sales, are you tracking the number of like calls that a salesman is making, emails that they're making, touches that they're making to try to get somebody in the door to make that purchase?
Correct.
So those like behaviors will lead to what you ultimately want, which are sales, right? So how many people came in, how much was converted, how many calls are being made, different things like that, right? I'm sure if you Googled what are, key performance indicators in my industry or in my business, like there's a ton of information out there. This is just one book that I thought was really cool and really organized, getting a grip on your business, as the cover says, pretty well. And I think anybody and everybody can manage it, because most people have no clue what's even going on in their business, what their numbers are, down to like, the tiniest grain.
Yeah, you have to be on it. Sales. The lease is up in 3 years in a car dealership. Who's following up at that 2-month before lease up mark to revamp? What are you guys doing to be in their face maybe 6 months before to remind them, and then you go for the hit at 2 months before?
It never happens. I mean, even with like Toyota, who I have or who I'm with, I've leased, I don't know, car after car after car, but salesman doesn't reach out after the first week. Hey, hope all is well. That's awesome, but where is that continued follow up? Does that guy want the same sale? Because as you're coming up on it, you got to work for your customers and your clients and stay in their face.
It's tracking data, not always financial numbers. Eventually you can get to there, and even if it's a period of 6 months or 12 months of just pure data mining, collecting information, making it better, you might not explode that first year, but you know what? You're setting yourself up for year 2 or 3 or 4. And ask yourself, if you're in business, are you looking at only 1 year of numbers and financials, or is your goal to be in business for 20 or 30 years? So 1 year of dissecting is not going to be anything in the big scheme of things to set you up for success. I think you build the foundation strong, and then it stays strong during storms, during weird things happening in the economy. I think just because there might be a recession or there's a recession doesn't mean every pizza place is going to close. Some will stay open. How the hell did they stay open versus the other ones that closed? Ask yourself that. Not every business shuts down during unknown times in the same industry. So look at the ones that aren't, and what are they doing differently than we are? And then you're tested. It's easy to be rolling by when everything's great, everything's going up, right? People are bragging about their portfolios are up 15%, 20%. Everything's up 15, 20%. What are you bragging about? Test yourself when it's going down and see who's still standing up.
Yep. I think if you can learn how to use Google Sheets or Excel, start tracking your numbers, start incentivizing people based on those numbers, rally people around numbers, hitting goals, just drives more, morale in the office of just you know, everybody likes to hit that goal. Then you celebrate as a team when you do.
Right.
That's the goal. Get a grip on your business.